Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Is it the end of David De Gea at Manchester United? Whether it's going to be a long goodbye or whether it's get your coat and get out of my club. We'll be talking about this because ultimately, and I know you love that word, when I do stuff on the United Stand, and I've been doing it for years, I have an opinion and I have to defend my opinion, but I actually thrive on the opinions of others and bringing it into the show because sometimes I can predict the future. I can, it can be a really hot take. Like when we bought Bruno, I was obsessed with it and I said he'd hit the ground running even though we bought him in January. He did hit the ground running. But with Mourinho as manager, a lot of you were saying get rid of him 6 months before we did. And I was like, no, I think he can turn it round, and he didn't. So it's always good in life in all areas to be open to the counter argument because you're not always going to be right yourself. But what I do find slightly frustrating with the David De Gea argument is I see a lot of people telling me that David De Gea is not good enough for Manchester United and spouting the last season as stats, but they don't ever seem to acknowledge his brilliance at shot stopping, of which I would put him in the top 5 in the world for shot stopping. I think he's absolutely brilliant at that. But they don't look back in the past and see that there is a big... Well, look, let me just say, the decline in David De Gea's ability to take crosses, pass and come out of his box from Mourinho's last full season to now is shocking. Now, whether it's shocking because he's declined, which I personally don't believe, I don't think he's declined. I think this is a tactical issue. And the exciting thing for this is Mourinho was not an attacking style of manager, but David De Gea still performed a lot better in that system, and we'll go through the shocking decline statistically in relation to collecting crosses outside of the box, coming outside of his box and passing. But Alisson and Ederson play in a team where their manager is drilled on a high line and attacking football. David De Gea spent the last 6 years playing in a team that doesn't play that. They play defensive, and under Ollie, they even play a low line and counter-attacking football, which is massively going to impact on you. Now, I said last night, from goalkeeper to midfielder, our passing stats are going to be on Sneak Energy Drink next season because they're going to go boom. Whether it's Luke Shaw, David De Gea, Dalot, Maguire, McTominay or Fred, if they play, they're passing. McTominay averages 40 passes a game as a CDM. Rodri sometimes goes over 100. That's as embarrassing as David De Gea's distribution. What I'm trying to say is it runs through the whole team. Like, it's not like Maguire or Varane are taking the ball off De Gea and demanding it and running the game. None of them are doing it. They're failing. But we're talking about David De Gea here. And the headline stat I want to hit, in Mourinho's last full season as a Manchester United manager, so not the season he was sacked, in his last full season, David De Gea had 301 crosses into his box, of which he took 19 successfully. 19 out of 301 crosses he took. Now, to give it some perspective, Alisson averages about 20 a season, successful catches from crosses, and Ederson's never done more than 18 in his whole time at Man City. So in Mourinho's final season as Manchester United manager, David De Gea took 19 from 301. And that's good. That's good. It's better than Ederson's ever done, and it's around the average of what Alisson does. So that you'd be very happy with that. Last season, he took 10 from 306. 50% drop-off, having had 5 more crosses into his box. That is disturbing and shocking. And that's the sort of conversation I want to have when we're talking about the issues. Because people just want to go, oh, De Gea, De Gea, De Gea. There's no way he's dropped off. Not at 31. He's not dropped off. There is, and this is what I'm talking about at the end of David De Gea. That, if I'm Erik ten Hag, I'm looking at that and going, why was it 4 years ago you were averaging the same as all the good goalkeepers in the league coming to get crosses, and then 4 years later you're not? Is it a lack of confidence? Because in which case I'll give you your confidence back and you'll go back to performing well. Is it a tactical thing? And I don't know on this one. I'm going to talk about him coming out the box and his passing ability because that's very obvious. But why is it we've seen under Mourinho a 50% drop from Mourinho to Solskjaer? Well, obviously Mourinho's a better coach than Solskjaer. I think that comes down to it. You cannot just have Rashford's now crap. Martial's game fell off. Maguire's games fell off. Bruno's games fell off. I think whatever you think of Maguire and Rashford and McTominay and anybody else, it's very, very clear that there's a consistent theme under Solskjaer's 3 years that every player's career fell off a cliff. And I think you can use that for De Gea. Why did you go from collecting 20 crosses a season, like all the top keepers do, to 10, which is abysmal. Well, yeah, you may have retained your shot-stopping core principles, but other areas of your game has fell off a cliff. And I don't hear that enough. I just hear De Gea can't catch crosses, but actually 3 or 4 years ago he did. So he has got it in his locker, and there has been a shocking drop-off. Now, the confidence I have from that is that I think Ten Hag can bring it back with coaching. I don't think it's an age thing. I think if he'd never had it, I'd be concerned, but he did have it, and it can come back. What it also could be is, in the last 3 years, we've had Harry Maguire. Have our tactics on crosses changed? Has our goalkeeper been told, don't come for crosses because you'll get in the way of Maguire, let Maguire go for it? I don't have the answer to that. Some people will say, well, no, he's just crap at crosses, but the facts state that he wasn't 3 or 4 years ago, but he is now. I would lean to, and I could be completely wrong, I would lean towards this is a coaching issue under a manager that's not just destroyed our keeper, but has destroyed our centre-back, our full-backs, our midfield, our attackers. So maybe it's just a tactical issue. Maybe it is just that. Maybe it is something else. But look, I think that's how you look. You have to look at that. Why is Bruno's game fell off? Is he just can't be arsed? I mean, look, everybody's game I think has fallen off because of a lack of training ground, and that is relevant to the keeper as well. And then if you move it on to something else, in Mourinho's last full season, David De Gea attempted 800 passes. 800 passes. Last season, he attempted, and I have it written down somewhere, I'm sure I wrote this down. Last season, he attempted 614. That's a 25% drop-off. 25% drop-off. 800 passes in the final season of Mourinho. 614 last year. Now, I can explain that one because Ederson averages about 930 and I think Alisson averages 1,000. So, I mean, Alisson nearly did double the passes that David De Gea did. This is very easy to explain, and it's also very easy to explain why people go, well, De Gea's distribution's crap, get rid of him, get rid of him. Well, Mourinho was not a manager that passed out from the back or was a possession-based team, yet De Gea was doing 800 passes a game, 800 passes a season, only 100 or so off Ederson. He's now 300, nearly 400 off Ederson. This is a tactical thing. This is the way we played football. This is a managerial thing. This is a coaching ground thing. You don't be a keeper that's playing 800 passes a season to 600 a season in 3 years. You don't just suddenly go, I don't want the ball anymore. Don't pass it to me. No. I'm listening to Kate Bush. I'm running up that hill. No problem. No, he's not. That's not what's happened. This is a tactical thing. This is clearly tactical. And this is why we're crap at passing through the midfield, through McTominay and Fred. This is why our centre-backs aren't particularly good. In the last 3 years, you've got to put it down to the fact that, as I said a few minutes ago, tactically, we just became a park-the-bus, Moments FC team with absolutely no fluidity or possession patterns. And again, I would take this as a positive. If David De Gea was doing 800 passes in a season under Mourinho, and Ederson's doing 950 and Alisson's doing 1,000 under Klopp and Pep respectively, that 800 can become 900, 950 under Ten Hag. So David De Gea again has shown that he can do it, but obviously the drop-off in the last 3 years has been disgusting. It has. But I think you can explain that simply by the way that we play football. And I would take that as a positive. Whoever the goalkeeper's going to be, our passing statistics are going to go through the roof because we're going to play in a different way. And then the final thing I wanted to bring in was that in relation to defensive actions outside the box. And this one is slightly tactical, but could be... I actually don't think De Gea is good at this. I would put my hand up and say that this is not his strength. In Mourinho's last season, David De Gea made 13 defensive actions outside of his box. Alisson averages 43 a season. So even in his final season, even in Mourinho's final season, where De Gea was a lot better than he is now, he's still way off 43, and Ederson averages about 30. So last season he did 9. I think that is very much about the style of football, and I think you can improve David De Gea on that. I don't think you're ever going to see David De Gea doing 43 a season. But if he can do 13 a season, defensive actions outside his box, and this is coming outside your box and taking the ball or whatever, we know De Gea's not fantastic at that. We don't see De Gea doing that very often. But Why does a goalkeeper come out? All right, okay, very simple then. Why is David De Gea only coming out of his box and doing 9 defensive actions in a season and Alisson's doing 43? Simply, it's the style of football. Liverpool play this offside line on the halfway line, and if the ball goes over the top and they are onside, Alisson's out of his box to get it. Manchester United, we don't play a high line. I saw somebody say yesterday, well, we can't play a high line because they've got no confidence in De Gea. We can't play a high line because we've got Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof at centre-back who are slow. You can't do it with 2 centre-backs like that because they're the last line of defence. This is why bringing in people like a Timber or a Torres next to a Varane will allow us to do that. And again, if you do that, then David De Gea will have to come out of his box more. Now, do I think that's part of his game? No, but you can definitely coach that in. But I think sometimes we don't actually look at the whole picture. And as I said, the drop-off in David De Gea from Mourinho to Solskjaer, coming out of his box, taking crosses and passing, is shocking. But in Mourinho's final season, he was actually quite high up, close to every other top keeper apart from coming out of his box. But Mourinho didn't play a high line either. I mean, Mourinho used to play 2 holding midfielders, didn't he? Mourinho was the guy who played Smalling and Blind, and then it was his 2 midfielders he put. We used to play quite deep there as well. So again, you're not going to get the ball over the top. So I think that this analysis of De Gea's game is quite deceptive, because for the last 6 years, he's played in a team that's very defensive and plays a deep line. And what I'm saying is that until we've had 4 or 5 months of De Gea under Ten Hag, it's almost like next season, when people say, is this the end of David De Gea? I personally don't think it is. My opinion is it isn't. I still think he's a fantastic keeper and I think we can get more out of him. But for everybody who is doubting him, why are you not looking at what he did in his final season under Mourinho? Because he was taking as many crosses successfully as Alisson and Ederson was. Why are you not looking at his passing? Because he wasn't far off Ederson and Alisson in a team that didn't play a passing style of football. And as for coming out of the box, he's never going to be coming out of his box with a team that's parking the bus, which is what we've basically done for the last 6 years. So the criticism is spot on. I've exposed that. It's shocking how he's fell off from Mourinho to now. But also, Rashford's fell off. Maguire's fell off. Bruno's fell off. Luke Shaw's fell off. Most of our teams fell off under Solskjaer. So coaching is key. Coaching is key. And also, I think this time next season, if David De Gea is to be our starting goalkeeper next year, which I think he will, I'm all for the conversation at Christmas or next summer to look at it and go, if he's still not coming for crosses, if he's still not coming out of his box and he's still not passing, then there's a conversation to be had. But I think the hint is there in what he did in his final season under Mourinho. Most of his stats were comparable to most of the other goalkeepers in the league in relation to distribution and coming for crosses. And I think that will get better in a team that plays more. And I think I've almost got to be sympathetic to the rest of the team as well. Although I can't really throw Rashford, Maguire, McTominay into the same category as De Gea. I don't think they've had the coaching or development, but De Gea was a contender for Player of the Year this year. They weren't. So David De Gea has still managed to retain his core natural ability, which is shot stopping. But his distribution, his ability to come for crosses and his coming outside of his box, that has regressed terribly over the last 3 years. Now, some of you might say, well, that's because he's just a crap keeper and he's getting worse. Maybe you're onto something with that. Personally, I think it's very clear that it's the style of the football. The last 6 years, we've played very defensive on the edge of our box. If our keeper was coming out of his box regularly, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Are you coming to hold hands and play Ring a Ring of Roses with Lindelof and Maguire, who stood on the edge of the box? We've got to see what happens with De Gea when we become more on the front side. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see. So do I think it's the end of David De Gea? No, I don't. Do I think that there's big question marks about the way he plays? Yes. But also, I think you can find those answers in the way that we have played over the last 3 years, and the fact that that final year under Mourinho, he's dropped off 50% in a lot of these areas. And I think a lot of that's just to do with the lack of chemistry and vision in the team has affected everybody. Get your comments in below, smash a like on the video, and give us your thoughts.